Hey everyone, Ben here, editor of Cinema Gulp, and I'm here today to further examine the structure and storytelling of Star Wars: The Last Jedi. It's no secret the film has found itself to be pretty divisive among fans, but can my question possibly shed some positive light on the film? Is The Last Jedi the Pulp Fiction of the Star Wars universe? Let's find out. Okay, despite what some may have thought about the latest entry in the far, far away mega saga, it's safe to say that director Rian Johnson told the lore, the mythos, and the fans to some extent to fuck off. It's a totally different, sometimes daring, and obvious attempt to change things around in the universe that at this point is vastly becoming as stale as a Stephenie Meyer's universe. Okay, maybe not that bad. What it is, however, is the most different and ambitious type of Star Wars film yet. I'm not talking about the stupid decisions made by characters, the boring, pointless, shoehorned love interests, or the complete 180s from plot points set in motion in its predecessor. No, I'm talking about the pacing and the structure of the film for which the story is told. I'm gonna get to the point. Did anyone realize while watching The Last Jedi that it's actually a non-linear story? John and I discussed this very idea over a year ago while reviewing Rogue One, at which point we threw out new and interesting ideas and venues the franchise should take in order to keep things fresh. John stated that telling the story out of order might be a cool way to go, at which point I replied, "What you talking about, Willis?" Well, to my surprise, and right under many people's noses, Johnson actually did it. So what John said was true, from a certain point of view.
A certain point of view?
It's not out in the open, up your ass, beating you over the head, out of the closet, in full force, taking it to the limits type of non-linear storytelling, but it's there. So at first glance, in the first narrative, the film seems to be placed within a very short time frame of about 24 hours, which looks to be a few days or possibly weeks since the last film's end, with the New Order in full pursuit of the Resistance, who are literally hanging on by a thread and what appears to be the galaxy's biggest and best deflector shield that's ever been designed by any man, Wookiee, Ithorian, Ortolan, Salustan, or Kubazian. We see Poe struggling to grasp the chain of command, Finn wake up from apparently what was a 5-minute coma, and General Leia seeming to be in charge for the moment. The New Order is gaining on them and the shield will only hold for so long. Here's where things get tricky. We then go to Oct 2, the mysterious island planet for which Luke partially marooned himself on in order to shut himself off from the Force. Here the film literally picks up immediately following the events of the last film, taking place at that exact moment. In this scene, last shown in The Force Awakens, we find Rey still standing in front of Luke, dangling his long-lost blue lightsaber, last seen falling from Cloud City's gantry platform with Luke's hand still in full kung fu grip on it. Luke here is reluctant to hold the weapon and tosses it away like a bad piece of KFC. So as these segments of the film play out, you'll notice that day falls into night several times, as Rey sticks around in an attempt to get Luke to train her. Luke reunites with Chewie, which is cool but short, I guess mourns the loss of Han, and eventually comes around to working with Rey, sort of. Through all this, it seems that at least some time goes by, as we see the two get to know one another, and nightfall happens several times throughout her stay on the island. It's apparent that it's not a quick one-day visit. When we cut back to the Resistance on the run from the First Order and Finn's zany misadventures through prequel land, the whole story takes place within about 18 hours. The ticking clock effect of the scenario proves this. As the driving force of the story happens and the two stories move forward, they move at completely different paces, hence the reason some felt that the pacing of this film was so messy. It was strategically done this way to show two separate storylines going on, moving at completely different speeds and times. Since the film is split between these two separate narratives, one is more like Fox's 24 type pace, and the other a much slower progression using drama to move it forward, the film has a very uneven flow to it. This is the pace of non-linear structure at work. One could say that The Empire Strikes Back does the exact same thing, where Luke is training with Yoda on Dagobah. The rest of the story follows Han and crew on their adventures through space, eventually ending up at Cloud City in a much faster paced structure. How long was Luke supposed to have been trained? How long were Han and crew running from the Empire? Whatever the answer is, it can be argued that the two separate narratives are very different in pace and flow. However, The Last Jedi makes it completely evident that its structure is non-linear from the very beginning. Rey's time on Oct 2 starts seconds from The Force Awakens, and then moves at a slower pace in order to catch up with the events taking place with the Resistance and the First Order. When Rey finally comes into the second timeline is when she meets Snoke and Kylo Ren. From there, the film plays out in universal harmony. So if the film were a straightforward narrative, the first half would be Rey's time with Luke on Oct 2, and once she leaves the island, the rest of the story actually starts. The pace towards the end proves this, as everything seems to fall into place. Once Rey is at Snoke Tower confronting her foes, the narrative following the Resistance and the First Order are directly affected by the actions taken by Rey. Rian Johnson has made the first non-linear Star Wars film ever. It's subtle, but it's there. So, what did you think of this? Is The Last Jedi the Pulp Fiction of the Star Wars universe? Or is this just a big fucking overstatement? You decide. As always, thank you for watching Cinema Gulp. I am Ben, and if you like this, please click like and or subscribe, and leave some comments down in the comment section below. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Cinema Gulp. Until next time, we drink your cinema.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?